Hello, welcome to Viewpoint Christian Academy, where we have been empowering parents for Christian education since 1984 through our biblical, individualized, mastery-based approach. I'm Dr. Adam Rondo, the Director Principal of Viewpoint Christian Academy, and it is my pleasure to be able to be with you every once in a while, every week, to discuss all things Christian education. Today, we want to talk about the importance and vital role of parental leadership in Christian education. It's a big topic. It's super important. Stay tuned. I have the opportunity to speak with a lot of parents all the time, from a variety of backgrounds, from a variety of flavors and opinions and approaches and all different kinds of facets to parenting. And oftentimes, most of the time, the parents that I speak with are solid leaders in their home, and it is so important that parents be solid leaders in their home in order to provide a healthy environment for their children and in order to help bring them exactly where you want them to be. Because remember, God has given them to you. They are a gift from God that you get for a little while, and then you have to release them. And so during the time that you have your children under your care and under your leadership before they fly out on their own, it is important that you do your due diligence and lead them. All throughout the scriptures, we can see when the people of Israel were ready to enter the promised land, and Moses wrote his closing letter to them, the book of Deuteronomy, quite long. It's a book, a recapping of all the things that were there. One of the first things he says in Deuteronomy chapter 6 is that you are to teach your children diligently to love the Lord their God with all their heart, the one true Lord God. And so we see that. Then if you look in the book of Proverbs, you can see that the entirety of the book of Proverbs, that wisdom literature, is directed from a father to his son. And the desire of the father is to lead his child to the ultimate pinnacle of life. And that is to obtain the most important thing, wisdom that is grounded and based in the fear of the Lord. And this is what parents are to do. You are to lead your children. Mom and dad, that is the task and the calling that God has given to you. And it's Viewpoint's pleasure to be able to come alongside you and assist you in that role and in that function and that job that you have as you prepare your children for life. And so I think it's important that parents be strong leaders in the home. And I will tell you this, oftentimes I'm discouraged. Not all the time, but every once in a while I get discouraged because I hear parents make statements like, in regards to, what education they're going to have, what program, what school, etc. Yeah, my child, they just don't want to leave their school and their friends, and so they've decided not to try it, or they've decided to give it a try. And that's discouraging to me because I wonder why that's the case. Because as a strong leader, you need to be decisive and help your child make the right decision. Not just let them do whatever they choose, but make the right decision. Or sometimes they'll say, you know what, I can't get my child to do their schoolwork, or I can't get my child to do this or to do that. And I understand, believe me, I understand the struggles associated with parenting. My wife and I have 4 children, and I understand that sometimes getting children to conform to, what you need them to do or to obey, that can be a difficult task. So I'm not undermining that. I'm not criticizing you because of the struggle. But I do want to address the idea that parents oftentimes abdicate their leadership role and encourage you to never do that. Encourage you to stay strong in that. Why is that problematic? Because God has called the parent to lead the child, not vice versa. Now, if you watch TV or if you watch movies, you will see that Hollywood and the world wants it to be the other way around. Well, a little child shall, take that verse and we just blow it out of context. A little child shall lead them, right? And now the little children are helping the parents in their old, worn out, old-fashioned ways to come and see a new light. And, the children help me to realize this is the way things should be. No, that's doctrines of demons. And I'm going to be blunt right here, okay? God did not call the child to lead the parent towards wisdom. God called the parents to lead the child toward wisdom. And so this is what the world is spewing out at us right now, right? That the children should lead the parents and help them to come to this new social emotional learning level where they can embrace and tolerate everything and all these kinds. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff out there, but that's not God's design, and that's not the way God intended it to be. God has called you parents to lead the child and not vice versa. And these statements indicate oftentimes statements like, I let my child decide where they want to go to school, or I can't get my child to do this, or to complete this assignment. These statements indicate a lack of leadership initiative, or perhaps timid leadership. That's a disservice to the child. It's a disservice to the child. Oftentimes we rail against the secularists out there that are saying, you need to let the child decide what gender they are. A young child in elementary school does not have the capacity or the wherewithal to make a decision as to whether they want to be a girl or a boy. And besides, it's biological. It's not really a decision involved. But the world says, oh no, let them be trans, let them transition or do this or do that. Let them choose their own gender. And we rail against the fact that, why in the world would you allow someone that young and without the information, without the capacity to make that decision? Why would that be something they should choose? And we are correct, I believe, in making that assertion. However, in order to be consistent, we also have to apply it elsewhere, right? We also have to apply it even to education. Does a child have the wherewithal to make a decision about something that will affect the entirety of their life? What do you mean? Well, if the education that they receive is going to affect their worldview. The education that they receive is going to affect their character. It's even going to have ramifications for the career that they choose, depending on the quality of the academics, etc. Does a young child have the wherewithal to make that decision? Does a teenager have the wherewithal and the competency to make that decision? Well, not really. Mom and Dad, you do. And it should be you that is leading the child and saying, look, I know you don't necessarily like or agree with this, but we think this is the best decision and we're going to do this for you. Now, let me bring this home for a minute. When my parents decided that I would always receive a Christian education. So from K-12, college, everything, I have received a Christian education. When I was a teenager, though, the Lord really began to work in my heart. And I began to have an intense burden to help young people come to know the Lord and to disciple them and to train them in the ways of the Lord. Thus, this is what I'm doing today. It began even at a young age. And I can remember going to my parents and saying, because I was in a small Christian school, it was Southridge Christian Academy, which later became Viewpoint Christian Academy, right? And I would say to them, Mom, Dad, I want to go to the public school so that I can be a witness and a testimony and tell others about Jesus. Now, is that a bad motive for wanting to go someplace? No, it was a great motive. In fact, I had an intense burden and a longing. I would fast, I would pray. I wanted to see young people come to know Christ. But my parents were not just going to say, well, this is what he wants to do, let him do it. Instead, they said, no, we need to make the best decision. We don't think it's best to send you there because we don't want it to affect you. We don't want it to influence you in a negative way. And so they wouldn't let me go. And here I am, a 14, 15-year-old young boy, and I've got this burden for preaching the gospel and telling people about Jesus. And they said, no, we're going to keep you in the Christian school. Why? Because they knew what I needed the most. As a young teenage boy, I was just basing it off of this feeling that I had, this desire that I had. God was working in my heart. He was planting something in my life, and it was beginning to grow. But my parents also knew that they had to lead me and guide me in such a way that it would foster and bloom and grow in the way and in the time that God wanted it to do so. And so they led me. They didn't allow me to lead them. And that is a great model. Let me just encourage you with that, okay? You need to stay strong and lead them. Even when they say, I don't like this Christian education stuff. I want to go back to the public school where my friends are and this, that, and the other thing. You need to be a strong leader. Don't abdicate the leadership position that God has given to you. Don't get off of that leadership position and say, okay, you can take it over. When it's time for them to go and be adults, that's one thing. But right now, you are the leader in the home. Stay strong, Mom and Dad. Be the leader and do the right thing for them, even if it doesn't make them happy. It's more important that you are the leader in the home than that you be the friend of your children. My wife and I lead our home, lead our children, but we also have a lot of fun with our kids. But we realize our job is not to be their friend. Our job is to be their parent and to lead them towards godly wisdom and to help them and guide them along that way. Now, as the leaders of the home, you should also be the primary motivators and give inspiration to your children. It would be concerning to me if somebody else could get more out of my child than I can. If there's a teacher somewhere who can get more out of your child than you, then let me encourage you that, I'm not disparaging the fact that we need good teachers. We need good pastors who can help. We need other leaders who can come along and help us. We need that. But mom and dad, you should be the primary motivators. You should be the primary people who inspire your children. Because look, nobody knows that child better than you. Nobody. Nobody knows them better than mom and dad. Teachers don't know them like mom and dad know them. And if they do, that's problematic. That means that you need to be more involved. You need to get, you know what I mean? You understand where I'm going with that? Yeah. But reality is that they don't know more. They don't know that child better than you. And nobody can get more out of them than you can. Nobody should be able to pull out of them the best more than you can do. That should be the aspiration of a good leader, is to help get the best out of those that they are leading. And if your children are following you, then you need that. You are uniquely qualified and anointed of God to lead your children. So let me encourage you with that today, parents. Step up to that challenge. If you're looking for good resources as to how to come up with strategies and tips, I have some. I wrote a book called Destination Wisdom and Discovering the Journey. It's really all about a father specifically, but parents leading their children towards wisdom. I'd love to be able to share a copy of that with you. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of great resources out there to help you be the strong leader in the home that your children need. So, parents need to take that primary leadership role in education. And the statistics, they all bear it out. The greatest determiner and factor for success in a child's academic career is parental involvement. But I don't like that term, parental involvement, because it's misleading. It's like, okay, here's the school, the child is involved, they got their academics, and mom and dad every once in a while get involved. No. It shouldn't say parental involvement, because that's wrong and that's misleading. It should say parental leadership. Whether they go to a school or a homeschool or whatever, if the parents are leading the children, they will do well and they will have success. Mom and dad, take on that mantle of leadership in the home. Lead your children in the ways of the Lord. God bless you. You have a great day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Do the subscribe thing, follow, like, all that good stuff. I hope you have a fantastic week. God bless.